So, guys, notice how there's three concerns that, based on what you were hearing from somebody inside Iran, with regards to the current military operations against the Islamic Republic, three concerns were communicated to us, and two out of three of them had to do with the border integrity, with stopping Iran from being balkanized, right? So the first one was, what if all of these military operations causes causes the fracturing of Iran? Second one was, what if, because of all the damages the Islamic Republic did to the UAE, they managed to get compensation from Iran in the form of some of the islands in the Persian Gulf? So again, border integrity. And the third one, what if the Islamic Republic manages to do a deal and with President Trump and they survive, right? So as much as the Iranian people want to get rid of the Islamic Republic, preserving the border integrity is a higher priority for them, right? So let's go through each one of them. So with fracturing of Iran, the way I see it, that we're moving towards Iran becoming free from the Islamic Republic. That's what I see happening, right? And I'll tell you why when it comes to the third question. When Iran becomes free and we have our own secular democracy, I don't see how any separatist groups is able to fracture Iran. Like, with what force? Like, if you actually look at these separatist groups, they're very few in number. When Iranian people have their own country, all the oil and gas money of Iran, a lot of it would be spent on rebuilding our army, and we're going to have millions of Iranians, especially if our borders are going to be challenged. We're going to have millions of Iranians who want to volunteer to protect our borders, given how big of a priority this is for them. I mean, the Iranian people in the millions went and risked their lives to try to get rid of the Islamic Republic. There would be even more of them volunteering to risk their lives to protect Iran's borders if that day comes. So once we're free, when we have the resources of our country and the national will of the Iranian people, I don't think these tiny little separatist groups are going to be a challenge to such a force. They're so insignificant compared to the number of Iranians who would be fighting them to try to save Iran's borders. So there's that. I mean, this actually answers both of those questions. If the UAE wants to, the only way, here's what you have to understand. If you're worried about the UAE trying to get islands, that could only happen under the Islamic Republic. And we were already moving towards that direction, right? Once Iran is free, again, for Iranian people, that means war. And if you think the UAE is like terrified that the Islamic Republic is now shooting some missiles at it, a UAE that would want to take parts of Iran away from it will have to go into direct conflict, direct head to head, full confrontational war with an entire nation that would want to destroy it because it's taking some of its islands away. The UAE would not be able to tolerate that, to go to war with a free Iran. They would be prioritizing, at that point when Iran is free, the UAE would be prioritizing trying to have a good relationship with this country and trying to take some of its islands away. It would be more of a risk to the UAE than to those islands. When it comes to the third point regarding to an insider deal, like an inside deal with between the Islamic Republic and President Trump, first of all, I don't think President Trump is going to go. President Trump has communicated full surrender, and up until to this point, the things that he has said he was going to do, he has done those things so far, and he has said he's going to go for absolute full surrender, which is basically the same as the end of the Islamic Republic. But even if President Trump wanted to do a deal with the Islamic Republic and end the military operations, right now the Islamic Republic is in a situation where they cannot surrender or basically make a deal. They, after the killing of Ali Khamenei, the Islamic Republic, again, their main priority is to show to their own followers that they are going to be resisting this, and they're going to make the Americans and Israelis regret that they did this. So for their own, for saving face, and their own internal propaganda, they're forced to make the continue resisting and continuing the fight. the demand for such a thing is so much right now by the hardliners inside Iran that the Islamic Republic doesn't have any choice but to continue the military operations. So even if President Trump wanted to end this military operation, the Islamic Republic right now is not in a situation where it could accept that. I mean, at least according based on what the situation is right now. Does that make sense, Tony?
Yeah, yeah, it does. Thank you a
Awesome.
lot. Can I
Yeah,
also
thank you.
ask something about Shia Islam?
Okay.
I was told that there is some sort of, because you were talking about the multipliers, if you do some sort of thing, then the scenes are like erased, let's say it like that. And there is some sort of reverse card that's called Sonate Tabdil, some something like that. That if you do something, it basically reverses the bad thing into good thing.
What
Sonate Tabdil. So is is this a thing? What's that about?
repeat that? I do know I do know that there are many things in Shia Islam that if you do, your sins will be forgiven. And again, they when it comes to Shia Islam, it's basically make it up as you go kind of situation. Right? It's very flexible. It's really crazy the way different mujtahids, different mullahs, different marjas, they just believe in the most random things that are different from what other people say. Like we have, for example, even when in Iran, we were even told as kids that if you eat a pomegranate without a single seed dropping on the ground, your sins will be forgiven. All your sins will be forgiven. Like what the hell? Like if you manage to open a pomegranate without a single seed falling on the ground and eat the whole thing, then all your sins up to that point will be forgiven. If you clean a mosque and if you dusting a mosque, for every dust particle, one of your sins will be forgiven. For every single dust particle that you have cleaned the mosque. It's just so like for example, if you pray during regular days, it has some rewards, but if you pray during Ramadan, it's like I heard so many different numbers. Like it counts. It used to be when we were kids, it would be 10 times more the rewards. But then as we grew older, it kept telling me like, no, it's 100 times. No, it's 1,000 times. No, it's the trillion times 564 times like in the power of five, and then like what like they come up like they would. I remember in school writing some of our teachers will come up with math formulas, like literally they would do like math, like complicated mathematical equations for how much certain rewards for certain actions will be amplified if you do it this way or on that day or that specific holiday, Islamic holiday, and they would do calculations. Like seriously, like the whole board would be filled with like numbers and calculations of how much these like for example, when we were kids, we were told like during Ramadan, reading one verse of the Quran, one verse of the Quran will have as much reward as reading the entire Quran on a non-Ramadan day. And it's just like, and then somebody else would say something different. Like it's not like there's no consistency with any of these. Like you would hear so many different numbers from different people, but yeah, it's just a make it up as you go. It's just
All right, yeah,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
insane. Thank you.
It's the point is not to make sense. The point is to wow you. Be like, wow. Like that's what they're trying to go for. And they think like you used to say 10 times more, and that doesn't cause that wow effect. So they try to come up with bigger and bigger numbers every year. So yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
what my friend
So
said was basically said to them that all right, if you do bad thing, but if you do then some sort of sequence of good things, then it erases bad things. And he came up with all right, so but this doesn't make sense. I mean, it would
yeah.
make you sin forever. So yeah,
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is blessings inflation. Yeah. I never thought about it like that. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so Olga, your microphone I saw it was
Hello.
fixed. Yes, yes.
Great. Thank you. I have several questions to be honest, but I'll start with one. I'm from Israel, and I want to start with myself hoping that, genuinely hoping that Iranian people will be free soon. And, we have, of course, consequences of this war on ourselves, and they're quite, they're not harshest, is unpleasant, but, generally spending a lot of time in protective spaces with kids without educational system functioning, and in many cases also that's not easy. But I really hope that as a consequence of that, the war will end up with a change of the regime in Iran, and the Iranian people, freedom of Iranian people, and not only my children will be free of this tyranny threatening us, but also Iranian children will be free of the tyranny threatening them. I don't know if you heard the speech of Israeli Prime Minister a few days ago. He delivered the speech. He was speaking about, there are a very general one from the point of view of Israeli, but he also was speaking about we're trying to do our best to enable Iranian people to take power. My question is, you need to hear. I think if you didn't hear this speech, I think you need to hear it. But how will you? Do you believe that Iranian people will be able to take the regime down at the continuing of this war? And wouldn't they be afraid, extremely afraid, because a consequence of having tens of thousands of casualties during the protest, the last protest, it's pretty hard, it's pretty threatening, it's reasonable to be afraid of that. So what do you think, where are the Iranian people considering all those consideration of being afraid of the regime, and the bombardment from the sky, and physical threat, and the willing to take over?
Okay, so a lot of people assume that the Islamic republics attack, the mass murder of Iranian peoples in early January, the tens of thousands of people that Islamic Republic killed, the effect on that on the Iranian people would be that they would be scared and that they will not come into the streets again, ever like that again, to topple the regime. But based on what we have experienced and all the communication that we have had and many other people have had, it actually made them more determined to come back into the streets when it's time to topple the regime. The message that we're getting is that more people who were in the streets after what they saw the Islamic Republic has done are now waiting for the next opportunity to come into the streets. And this time with the aim to kill. Like, this was so monstrous that it made more Iranian people who were on the sides to get on the revolution side. And from the perspective of Iranians, the price that they paid in early January to topple the regime is was too high for them not to topple the regime. So it didn't have the effect that the Islamic Republic intended for it to have, right? And honestly, even though I knew that, because every time people bet on the Iranian people not coming in the streets anymore, I always tell them that they will come back into the streets when it's time. And every time we were right, and the people who were betting against the Iranian people were wrong every single time, right? But even as optimistic as I wasn't expecting them to come out 40 days after. So I think you guys saw that after the massacre, it took only 40 days for us to see the Iranian people start coming back into the streets and continuing to chant, Javid Shah, death to the Islamic Republic, and Pahlavi will return, which are the highest. The Pahlavi will return is like the greatest red line After the fact that all the university students and all the family members of the people who were killed in the memorials of the fallen and in the universities came out in large numbers protesting against the regime after what they saw just 40 days ago, what the Islamic Republic is willing to do, was something that I thought it would take some time for us to even get there. So as optimistic as I was that the Iranian people will continue to come back, it seemed like I wasn't optimistic enough. Like they're actually braver than even I gave them credit for. Not only that, they came out in the daylight. They came out in the daylight in places that they could be easily identified. And the only thing, and it got to the point where Princess of Pahlavi had to come and tell them that it's not time. Go back into your homes. I will tell you when it's time, right? Because Princess of Pahlavi doesn't want the Iranian people to pay a similar price again. But you can see that the Iranian people have to be told to stay home, and it's becoming a difficult job